So we've just come up to the Syrp workshop where we do all our testing and prototyping. This is where we're going to do a little interview setup. It's quite a good space because it's got some depth and layering to it. Having a bit of depth is quite important because it's what allows the kind of parallax or this parallax move to work, so you get to see the different objects and distance kind of move a little bit. If you normally just shoot on one camera, it's quite tricky because in the edit when you cut out audio, you end up having to do a jump cut. So by doing a 2-camera setup, it means we can just cut between the 2 cameras and make that bit of dialogue more seamless by cutting between the 2. Today we're going to be using the EOS R and the Genie II. Doesn't really matter what camera you use, but the reason we're using the 2 of these is they both use the same C-Log profile. Set them on the same settings, so when we cut between the 2, they'll match perfectly.
So I'm going to set a Genie II linear up on the magic carpet for my sliding axis. So we need a panning axis for an interview to shoot a second angle, just so that we can keep the subject directly in the center of the frame as we move around. So if we only have one axis, it's going to look a little bit odd because we're just going to track past the subject. He's probably going to go out of frame or to the edge of the frame, which won't look very nice in the second angle. There are a couple options for adding the panning axis. One is to use a Genie Mini, which is obviously a lot more of an affordable solution. And if you're just focused on interviews and only worried about doing a pan and a track, then that's probably your best bet. Alternatively, use Genie II Pan Tilt. That's the one that we use today. It's a fully integrated 3-axis device. If you're more focused on 3-axis, you want to use a pan tilt head separately on the tripod. It's also quieter, has a higher payload, and that's going to be a better option. I've got the B camera all set up, Genie II Pan Tilt and Genie II Linear. And all I need to do now is set up a start and an end point for my movement. So this is really easy to do now on the new app. Just use the onboard joysticks, frame up my start point, hit start, drive to the end point, and then frame up my end frame and hit end. And then that brings me to my keyframe graph. So for speed, I just need to change my record time to how long I want it to take between those 2 points. Generally speaking, a faster movement's not as good for an interview. We try and do a nice slow movement. It's more subtle and a little bit less distracting. So we'll film a fast move and we'll be able to have a look at those in the video and compare it to show you what the difference is. At the moment, I've put no ease in or ease out on the movement. So I want to add a little bit of ease to the start of the movement. So that just slowly ramps in the start and the end point on all axes, so that's nice and smooth and it's not jarring when it bounces back and forward. So with that set, I'll now enable bounce. So this will mean that the camera goes back and forward continuously during the interview and I can concentrate on the main camera and film the audio and make sure I'm concentrating on the story.
So this wraps up this quick tutorial on how to set up a bounce back for interviews. Hit that subscribe button if you want to see more tutorials like this. We've got lots more coming with many more features. And any questions, put them in the comments below.